have a voter ID card, you can get one at no cost by visiting the elections office at our new location, Baytown Office Suites, 68 West Bay Road in Georgetown. For more information about voting in the referendum, visit www.elections.ky and get set to vote.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Radio Cayman News, the ultimate in news and information.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
This is the Information Hour.
Good evening once again. Here's a recap of the top stories that made Radio Cayman's 6 o'clock evening news. All students are safe and no injuries reported after a fire just before the start of school at John Gray High School this morning. No official word on the cause. No major damage has been reported. The referendum on the cruise port project is just about a month away now, and those for and against are in full swing. Tonight at 6:30, the anti-port group, Cruise Port Referendum Cayman, holds its launch meeting at Celebration Park. Tomorrow, government and Verdant Isle Port partners hold their fourth meeting at Elmsley Memorial Church Hall at 7 p.m. And more than 20 students from across Cayman's public and private high schools officially began their training for the 2020 Youth Parliament on Commonwealth Day. And in sports, the United States took top spot in League A, Group A of the CONCACAF Nations League with their 4-0 victory over Cuba on Tuesday night, making history right here in the Cayman Islands. And I caught up with the Women's Caribbean Boxing Champion at the USA versus Cuba football match last night. Kimberly Gittins is training right here on island. That's the end of news for this hour. On behalf of the entire Radio Cayman news team, thank you for listening. I'm Dion Anglin. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
I'm Karsley Fuller.
I'm Dion Anglin.
I'm Shanda Gallego.
Visit us on www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Radio Cayman's Information Hour. Produced by April Cummings, Karsley Fuller, Dion Anglin, Shanda Gallego. You see news happening. Contact our newsroom, 949-7799. Radio Cayman News, the ultimate in news and information. Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the health of it, Radio Cayman's premier health show is brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, Holy Cross Hospital,
Cayman Fertility Center,
and EatingClean.com.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush. This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Hello and welcome to For the Health of It. In the studio with me is Dr. Wilmot Shillingford from HSA, and we're going to be talking about diabetes after the messages from our sponsors.
The decision to become a parent, a mother, was one I did not take lightly. To be responsible for another life and to take pride in raising a part of me and my lineage. When our attempts to become pregnant failed, we turned to in vitro fertilization at Cayman's Fertility Center in East End. Their full-service facility was world-class with U.S.-trained and certified physicians who supported us throughout our process. If you or a loved one are struggling with getting pregnant, find out your options with Cayman Fertility Center. Call 233-0770.
We believe that every life matters and we are all connected, one community, one people. No matter where you live, Holy Cross Hospital of South Florida is breaking down the borders that should not exist in advanced healthcare.
At Holy Cross Hospital, we have opened our doors to the world, bringing you exceptional healthcare.
The multicultural staff features doctors and nurses providing top quality, compassionate healthcare while making patients feel at home.
Our Holy Cross International Services team provides guidance to patients and their families throughout their travel, accommodations, and recovery.
Quality medical care and advanced technology with sincere compassion and understanding. Your trusted health partner for life.
Learn more about Holy Cross Hospital. Email international@holy-cross.com or call 954-351-5906.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
Once upon a time, we ate from the land and sea. We may not have had much growing up, but we had healthy foods. It's time to wake back up to natural eating. EatingClean.com is the island's premier 100% born Caymanian-owned cooked-to-order meal prepping service. Fresh, locally and responsibly sourced ingredients. No processed soy and GMO foods. From breakfast to lunches, meat to vegan, juices and smoothies. Experience tasty meals for as low as $9. Visit EatingClean.com to view their menu or place your order. Deliveries are free, including reusable plates and bags. Monthly and corporate specials are available. Visit eatingclean.com. That's clean with a K. EATINGKLEAN.com. Or call 328-8655. Wake back up to quality foods with eatingclean.com.
The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, CICSA, is an association that brings all government employees together at the workplace, social events, and in matters of concern common to all civil servants. For more information on how you can become a member or to read our story, visit us on www.cicsa.ky or on facebook.com/cicsa.ky. CICSA, connecting, informing, and engaging our membership.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Hello and welcome back to For the Health of It. Welcome, Dr. Shillingford.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So we're going to be talking about our favorite subject, diabetes.
Diabetes.
Yes.
Sugar, as they call it.
Yes, a little bit of sugar.
Sometimes a lot.
Yes, that's why people have diabetes, because it's a lot. Well, there's more than that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So explain to our listening audience what diabetes is.
Right. Thank you for having me again, and to everybody who's listening, good night. Or good morning if you're hearing a recording.
Yes.
So diabetes is, we consider it a problem with dealing with sugar in your diet. Mm-hmm. That's probably the simplest way to put it. And if you remember from high school biology, we have certain types of foods. There's proteins and carbohydrates and vitamins and minerals and all those things. Diabetes is mostly to do with the carbohydrate stuff. And carbohydrate has to do with sugar and starchy foods. Mm-hmm. So when you eat sugar or starchy foods, most of the time it gets converted. Your body actually digests it and turns it into something we call glucose. And in medicine, when we say sugar, that's what we're talking about actually. We're actually talking about glucose, which is the end product when you finish digesting carbohydrates and sugars. And most of us, when we eat starchy foods, the glucose ends up in our blood, and we are able to manage that extra glucose quite well. The body is very good at moderating the levels of different things in the blood. So our sugar level for people who don't have diabetes would never usually go above a certain amount. People with diabetes have problem with that. Their mechanism, the chemicals and the controls that they have, that they're supposed to have, to keep their sugar from going above a certain level doesn't work. So that a person with diabetes, when they eat starchy foods or sweet foods or sugar, their sugar goes up much higher than it should. And after they finish eating the food, it stays up for much longer than it should. So most of us, our sugar level, if you measure it, people who don't have diabetes, your sugar level will not go above, say, 10 or 11. And within about 2 hours, it should be back down to normal after you eat.
Mm-hmm.
People with diabetes, you will find that after they eat, their sugar stays high for much longer than 2 hours. And even before they eat, even before they've eaten any food at all, their sugar level tends to be higher than our sugar level, people without diabetes. So there are different ways of deciding if a person has diabetes. If we measure your blood sugar and it is more than a certain amount, then we recognize, hey, a normal person, and sorry for saying a normal person, I don't mean to say people who have diabetes are not normal, but people who don't have diabetes, their sugar shouldn't be above a certain level. So when we measure it and it's above a certain level, we tend to be able to decide that person, it might be diabetic. So it has to do with your sugar. And remember, when I say sugar, I mean glucose level in the blood.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I've been taking this course for a little while, and what I seem to I'm learning is you start to get prone to diabetes for many years, because your pancreas is this little organ that controls the amount of insulin. And if you start, and it only has a limited amount of hits.
Capacity,
yeah. And if you keep taxing it, eventually it wears out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so if, it starts from a very early age.
Yes.
And if you have a family history of diabetes, red flags should be going off
early. Yes.
Early.
Yes. So it's the research suggests that people who go to doctor and discover that they have diabetes, they probably started getting diabetes about 12 years before.
Wow.
They actually showed up at the doctor's office. So when we said starting getting diabetes, you mentioned that there's a gland in your body just under the stomach called the pancreas that makes a chemical called insulin. And insulin's job is to keep your sugar down. People who have diabetes, their insulin either doesn't work or they don't make enough. And we find that process of having problems with making or using insulin starts way before your sugar level actually starts to go up. So if you knew that a person was going to get diabetes and you started measuring how well their insulin was working, their pancreas was functioning, you would start to see the changes in the pancreas from a whole decade before they actually show up at the doctor with an actual symptom of diabetes.
And there are three types of diabetes. There's
the main ones, type 2 diabetes. When people hear you have diabetes or sugar, as we commonly call it, it's a type 2.
Right.
Yeah? People with type 2 diabetes, they make a little bit of insulin, or they might make some insulin. Some of them may even make a lot of insulin and it doesn't work properly. But type 1 diabetes is the one where people don't make any insulin at all.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to happen in younger people. And it tends to be a different kind of disease. It tends to be very sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So say, for example, you're a young person and you had some sort of virus, for example. It doesn't always happen like that. And the virus affected your pancreas where your insulin is made. And let's suppose it completely destroyed your pancreas' ability to make insulin. Within a very short time, unlike the 10 years that we say for type 2 diabetes, within a week or two or a short time, you could have completely lost your ability to make insulin. So type 1 is very sudden, and it's usually the people, when we see people show up with type 1, it's usually more acute, more severe. It's more common to find type 1 in the younger people as well. And there's also gestational diabetes, which is diabetes that people get in pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly different in the cause as well from the type 1 and the type 2. It's a little bit more to do with the hormones that you make when you're pregnant. And there's also another type of diabetes as well. There's one we call mature onset diabetes. I believe there are a few subsets of that as well. So for us, and I'll include myself in the people who are not into very academic types of diabetes, I'm sure the endocrinologist would be able to give you a much more complete answer about that. But the common types for us would be the gestational, meaning diabetes of pregnancy, type 1 and type 2.
Okay.
But for most people, when they hear you have sugar, it's type 2. That's the commonest one.
And that is almost controllable. Type 2.
Type 2. I don't know if you want to say it's almost controllable, because that's a bit broad statement. In some people, it might be controllable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? People with type 1 diabetes, because they don't have any insulin, they must go on insulin injections.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you must have insulin injections. But people with type 2, like everything else in medicine, there are mild and there's moderate and there's severe diabetes. There are some people with just a little bit of sugar, and you could control yourself very well with, eating well, losing weight, exercise. But there are some people who have very bad type 2 diabetes. I've seen people who are slim and exercise well and still have really bad diabetes. So it's not always that you can manage it with just lifestyle activities. But we do recommend that anybody with any diabetes, whether it is mild or really bad or really severe, there are certain things that you should try to do and try and maintain to keep your diabetes under control. And as you say, eat well and exercise and watch what you eat, really.
I'm just going to do a station identification. You're listening to Dr. Shillingford from HSA. We're talking about diabetes. If you want to call in and ask any questions, the number is 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp me if you want it to be private. You don't want your voice to be heard. 925-3030.
Sure.
So, Dr. Shillingforth, what would you tell people? What's one of the most important things you want to get across in this interview tonight for people?
Okay, to answer that question, strange enough, I'm going to talk about cholesterol.
Aha.
Yeah, let me tell you why. Because most people, and this is interesting, most people, or many people, I don't say most people, many people with high cholesterol, we as doctors, we struggle to get them to take cholesterol tablets, right? Because you don't see any problem with cholesterol. It don't make you itch, it don't give you pain, it doesn't do anything to you. So to get people to take their cholesterol tablets, sorry, I have a little cough. I find I have to explain to them the reason why we give cholesterol tablets. And it has to do with diabetes as well. Because the main reason we give cholesterol tablets is because cholesterol increases your risk, meaning your chance of stroke and heart attack, what we call the blood vessel or the cardiovascular diseases. So what I have to explain to them is that we don't just look at the cholesterol by itself. We have to look at all the things that increase your chance of stroke and heart attack. So do you smoke? Do you have high cholesterol? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? Do you have family history of diabetes or cholesterol? And I find that when you explain it to people that way, people will understand a little bit better why you need to treat cholesterol, even if you don't feel any symptoms from it, but because it increases your chances of things later on. And that is the lesson that I would like people to understand with diabetes as well, because diabetes is one of those 5 things I just mentioned, or 6. If you have diabetes alone, you can't just be concerned about just the diabetes. You have to be concerned about whether your blood pressure is fine as well. You have to be concerned about your cholesterol. You have to be concerned. And you have to be a bit more aware generally of your overall health, because you can't just fix the sugar. You have to look at all those other things as well.
And usually the cholesterol and diabetes work hand in glove together in many respects because it's usually caused from foods that we're eating. And if we eat fatty foods, the cholesterol, it's like the effects is keep pouring oil down your sink. Eventually it'll build up.
It'll club up, yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that is, you wouldn't do that. I mean, I know women, no, you can't pour no hot oil down my sink. Right? So why are you eating the caca? The bad food.
I think, it's a lot of it is cultural,
Yes.
Sometimes it's difficult to separate, to understand that there are certain things that we have to give up in order to prevent, long-term problems. And probably, we have to think more of the future. That's one of the problems, things like diabetes and high blood pressure. It tends not to give us a problem now. If you have a pneumonia now, you feel it now and you treat it now. But the complications that we're trying to prevent with diabetes and high blood pressure and cholesterol, those are things that are more future focused. And I think as human beings, sometimes we don't really worry about what's going to happen. When doctor tells you may get a stroke 4 years from now or 10 years from now, I have time.
And you don't think about what does a stroke look like for me? You don't think, our minds aren't able to understand, I think, the depth of that unless we've seen a family member go through that.
Absolutely,
maybe
absolutely.
I could be wrong about that, but
I think everybody has a fear of the idea of stroke. But you don't quite understand the significance of how it can really affect a family. Not just yourself, but if you have a stroke, your family has problems. Because somebody has to look after you, and somebody has to. If you lose your ability to walk or drive, or so you understand, it affects your ability to work, your ability to raise your family. There are lots of things that having a stroke can affect. So, but at the same time, if you don't have the stroke yet, as you say, that's something that's way down into the future. It's difficult for people to consider that I might need to do things now. I need to give up things now. In order to prevent me from having problems later on.
So getting back to the education of diabetes, how can a family who has a history of diabetes, how can they educate themselves and maybe start to reverse the domino effect, just because my father does not have diabetes, but just because, say, someone else's father has diabetes, how can they then say, well, no, that's not going to be my
it won't happen to me. I'm going to do what I can to prevent that,
and it won't happen to my children.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so how can they switch that around? Because everybody, it seems like our families we must have this food. You understand? They don't understand it.
Yeah.
We have to switch our foods up now.
I think that's a broad question. It can be considered a broad question because it's not just the person who's coming to that realization. If you decide, I don't want to have diabetes because it's in my family. I don't want my children to have it. There are certain things that you have to do, but it would be good if you had some support around you that could help you with that as well. So, the health services, for example, we can do more as doctors to do education and provide services. We have dietitians who can help, educate people about what to eat, and we do promotions about exercise. So the community and the society itself, there's a lot we can do if we recognize that diabetes is important. Diabetes is something that is in our society. There's a lot that we can do as a society to help reduce that person, to help that person who wants to prevent. But individually, it generally comes down to lifestyle, really. If you feel that diabetes, or if you know that diabetes is in your family, the first thing is to recognize that if you have diabetes in your family, then you have a higher chance of getting it. Whether you're slim or you're fat, you still have a higher chance of getting diabetes. So you have to make sure that there are things that you do to prevent your risk. And it comes down to lifestyle. And again, eat well, the types of food that we eat, as you mentioned. Culturally, we eat a lot of starchy food. We eat a lot of starch in the Caribbean.
We do.
Rice and yam and banana and all of those things. Our plate is always full of starch. And if you want to reduce the risk of diabetes, that's one of the things that you really have to tackle. Diet is one of the most important things. We mentioned weight loss, but that is tied into diet as well. When it comes to losing weight, diet is the most important part of losing weight. Exercise is not as effective as just eating right. So eat well, exercise, lose weight, recognize your risk, and go to doctor regularly to have regular checks for your blood sugar level. It is estimated that there are a lot of people in the UK alone. They always say that it's about 600,000 people who may have diabetes who haven't reached their doctor yet. Every moment of the day they have diabetes, but they haven't tested. So we recommend that you should, if you have diabetes in your family, it means that you have a higher chance, have a risk of diabetes. You should be going to have your blood tested regularly at your doctor. All right. And just being aware and being, recognizing that if it's in the family, I am at risk, and taking care of yourself, exercise and diet, yes, but also education. Make sure that you read a lot about diabetes. There are lots of available. There's a lot of dangerous websites available on the internet, but there's a lot of reliable information as well that you can get on the internet. Make sure that you're educated, and make sure if you learn about it that you tell your family members and even your children if you have that as well, if they're at risk, because they would be at risk if you're at risk as well. Yeah?
How much does stress play into the role of controlling your diabetes?
Stress by itself, there's a certain hormone that you release when you're stressed, cortisol, and that itself raises your blood sugar. But I don't know if you don't have risk for diabetes and you don't have diabetes, I don't know if being stressed alone will give you diabetes.
But it plays an important...
But it plays a role when people do have diabetes, that it can increase your sugar level, at least temporarily. I don't think it would permanently give you diabetes if you're very stressed all the time.
Yeah.
So, but stress, remember we said that diabetes by itself is not the only thing to consider. If you have diabetes by itself, if you have high blood pressure with diabetes, that really compounds the complications that you could have from diabetes. And if you're stressed, we know that stress can increase your risk of high blood pressure as well. So we definitely would recommend that if you're diabetic, or if you want to reduce your risk of diabetes, that you control the level of stress in your body as well. Relaxation methods, and just avoiding stressful situations. That would be recommended if you want to reduce your risk of high blood pressure long term.
We're nearly the end of our program, so I want to. What would you say would be good for someone who is maybe just pre-diabetic? What would you tell them?
So just to define pre-diabetes, there's a certain blood test that we do. I should mention that there's a particular blood test that we use mostly to diagnose, to find out if a person has diabetes these days. It's called the hemoglobin A. It's got lots of names. Glycosylated hemoglobin. I just call it the average blood sugar test. Yeah.
Okay.
It tells you what your sugar has been for the last 3 months. Yeah. So that blood test, if it is more than 6.5 confirmed, usually we repeat it to be sure. All right. If it's more than 6.5, then you have diabetes. Yeah. If it is less than 6, then you're okay. But that little area between 6 and 6.5, we say that you're at risk of diabetes. We used to say pre-diabetes, but they kind of been advised to call it risk of diabetes, because it gives you more of an idea that you could prevent it from progressing if we call it at risk of diabetes. Right. So if you are pre-diabetic, then you need to most of all go to your doctor regularly to check your blood sugar and do all the things that we mentioned just now. Watch your diet, keep your weight down, exercise, make sure you eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and just keep monitoring your blood sugar every year, at least once a year.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shillingford,
Time
for
has
being.
flown.
Yes, it does fly. It's like being on the Concorde
Yeah.
here. Thank you for being on for the health of it, and we are moving you to the life you want.
Thank you very much.
The decision to become a parent, a mother, was one I did not take lightly. To be responsible for another life, and to take pride in raising a part of me and my lineage. When our attempts to become pregnant failed, we turned to in vitro fertilization at Cayman's Fertility Center in East End. Their full-service facility was world-class with U.S.-trained and certified physicians who supported us throughout our process. If you or a loved one are struggling with getting pregnant, find out your options with Cayman Fertility Center. Call 233-0770.
Refilling and transferring your prescriptions have never been this easy. Simply go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and follow the easy directions from your desktop, mobile device, or tablet. All you need to do is pop into Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor to collect your prescription. They're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 till 6 on Sundays and public holidays. No waiting in line, no wasting your lunch hour, no stress. Just easy online prescription refills and transfers from the pharmacy that has been caring about your health for 25 years. Call 947-8900 to speak to a pharmacist or go to healthcarepharmacy.ky and make life easy.
Once upon a time, we ate from the land and sea. We may not have had much growing up, but we had healthy foods. It's time to wake back up to natural eating. EatingClean.com is the island's premier 100% born Caymanian-owned cooked-to-order meal prepping service. Fresh, locally and responsibly sourced ingredients. No processed soy and GMO foods. From breakfast to lunches, meat to vegan, juices and smoothies. Experience tasty meals for as low as $9. Visit EatingClean.com to view their menu or place your order. Deliveries are free, including reusable plates and bags. Monthly and corporate specials are available. Visit eatingclean.com. That's clean with a K. EATINGKLEAN.com. Or call 328-8655. Wake back up to quality foods with eatingclean.com.
We believe that every life matters, and we are all connected. One community, one people.
No matter where you live, Holy Cross Hospital of South Florida is breaking down the borders that should not exist in advanced healthcare.
At Holy Cross Hospital, we have opened our doors to the world, bringing you exceptional healthcare.
The multicultural staff features doctors and nurses providing top quality, compassionate healthcare while making patients feel at home.
Our Holy Cross International Services team provides guidance to patients and their families throughout their travel, accommodations, and recovery.
Quality medical care and advanced technology with sincere compassion and understanding. Your trusted health partner for life.
Learn more about Holy Cross Hospital. Email international@holy-cross.com or call 954-351-5906.
Did you know that becoming a member of the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association is a quick and easy process, and the benefits are immense? It's as simple as completing the enrollment form, which you can find on the website www.cicsa.ky, and return it to any member of the Management Council or Secretary Ms. Zita Bodden at the Registrar's Office on the first floor of the Government Administration Building. It's only $5 per month, which is automatically deducted from your salary. Yes, it's that easy. Remember, the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association membership is open to all civil servants, statutory authority employees, government company employees, and all retired civil servants. CICSA, promoting and protecting the welfare of our members.
For the health of it, Radio Cayman's premier health show is brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, Holy Cross Hospital,
Cayman Fertility Center,
and EatingClean.com.
This is for the health of it with Tara Bush.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, your station. Your voice. All things Cayman. One radio. Many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Support our tourism.
Do you still have questions about the cruise berthing facility? Would you like more information? Come and hear officials from government and Verdant Isle Port partners speak about the project and have your questions answered. Public meetings are happening across Grand Cayman until December 5th. Visit supportourtourism.com for all meeting dates. Be informed because truth matters.
Support our tourism.
The referendum for the cruise berthing and cargo facility is on the 19th of December. Will you be traveling or overseas on referendum day? You can still cast your vote by postal ballot. The deadline for postal ballot applications is December 7th. For more information about how to apply, visit www.elections.ky and get set to vote.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman. We've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman studio time. It is 7:35. At this time, we will continue our broadcast of proceedings as conducted in the Legislative Assembly of the Cayman Islands. We continue where we left off last evening.
Mr. Speaker, an example of successful partnerships established since this unity government has taken office was in early 2019, where the prison service entered into a memorandum of understanding